You can't spell Los Angeles without loss. It started great for the Lake Show. Jumped out to a first quarter lead. Luka had 16 in the frame. Then the heavens opened for Ant Edwards and the Wolves. T-Wolves down 2 here. Naz Reid from former Laker Julius Randle. That triple was the last time Minnesota trailed. Midway through the quarter, lead now 10. Dante DiVincenzo pushes the pace to Reid in the corner. Reid had 6 threes off the bench. Had 23 points. Final seconds of the half, DiVincenzo gets his big ragu from 33 feet. Minnesota made 11 threes in the first half, tying a franchise record for any playoff half. And in very related news, they were up 11 at the break. Third quarter, Ant Edwards isn't missing out on a 3-party, not with the way his game's evolved year over year. He had 323s in the regular season. Previous career high was more than 100 fewer than that. A minute later, Jaden McDaniels strips Luka, and then Mike Conley Jr., 37 years young, puts the Wolves up 23. Lakers getting desperate. LeBron reaches for the steal. Ant Edwards enjoys the fruits of his labor while they're still ripe. Part of a 67-33 run for the Wolves over 2 quarters. Not all gravy for Minnesota, though. Edwards goes down after a missed layup, stays on the floor, grabs his calf, grabs his foot. Hold your breath. Exhale. Went to the locker room, but would return in the fourth quarter. Though before that, final seconds of the third, Luka doing all he can to keep this close. Banks open late in LA, apparently. Half-court heave goes. Outrageous shot by the Don. He had a game-high 37. Only Shaq's ever had more in a Lakers playoff debut. But still, LA down 16 after 3. As promised, Ant checks back in, and ankle looks good on this turnaround jumper. Said post-game that this team is gelled. Quote, "Now we just go." 8 minutes left. They're going back to their hotel up 1-0. Edwards 3. He had 22. Wolves win by 22, hitting a franchise playoff record 21 threes. JJ Redick, what happened?
I'm not sure physically we were ready, if that makes sense. And really, when they started playing with a lot of thrust and physicality, like we just didn't respond immediately to that.
We had a week to prepare. We watched film together as a team. The 4 hours that we was on the way here, we talked. We watched games that when they played against OKC, when they played against Dallas, we was just watching film on them, and the coaches did a great job of putting us in the right positions.
All right, let's keep it in the West. Nuggets hosting the Clippers. Game 1 of the Western Conference first round. Under 40 to go. Nuggets down 1. Jamal Murray, you see he's guarding Kawhi Leonard on the wing. He rips at the ball, it goes out of bounds off of Leonard. See that there? Mm-hmm. He can't believe it. Leonard can't. Nuggets regain possession. 30 seconds left. Their next Nugs possession. Nikola Jokic to Westbrook, and that is a triple. Where was everybody? Nuggets up 2. Next Clips possession. James Harden. He gets a floater. It's a tie ball game, ladies and gentlemen. Under 10 to go now. Jokic to Westbrook. He's not able to get a shot off before time expires. What does that mean? That means we get extra basketball in game 1 in the series. All right, just over a minute to play in OT. Clippers trailing by 3. Harden, a floater once again. It's a 1-point ball game. Next Nuggets possession. Jokic to Christian Brown. He knocks down the 3. They're up 4. By the way, the Joker had 12 assists under 40 seconds to go. Chris Dunn gets the steal. James Harden catches the ball in transition. What is he going to do? He's going to knock down a triple. 10 seconds left. They trail by 3. Batum tries to inbound to Harden. Westbrook, he steps in, causes the turnover. He's obviously hyped. Harden's pissed off. Westbrook's defensive pressure causes him to mishandle the pass. That's a turnover. Nuggets go on to win in OT 112-110, taking a 1-0 series lead.
Christine, 90s hoop heads are going to love this one. Knicks Pistons game 1 MSG, where New York got right in the nick of time. First playoff meeting between these franchises since 1992. Jalen Brunson's playoff heroics carried over from last year, though. Final minute of the third, New York's down 9. Brunson takes an awkward step and falls, just loses his footing. He would limp to the locker room. Remember, New York's never won a playoff series when losing game 1 at home. 0-8 all time. 3 minutes into the fourth, Brunson returns. Different pair of shoes. Tom Thibodeau, what did Brunson do back in the locker room?
I think he grabbed his cape.
With spike in attendance, could have been money, got to be the shoes. Either way, Tibbs is smiling. We got a counter on screen. That's bad news for Detroit, man. Pistons thought they had a newfound glory, but it was all downhill from here. Brunson, hoop, and the harm. Knicks on a 10-0 run. Then Karl-Anthony Towns, cat-like reflexes with the steal, gets it to Josh Hart, who finds Brunson. Run is now 15-0. Minute later, same score, same sequence. Towns steal, Hart assist, Brunson buckets. The roof is leaking at MSG. It's 17-0, part of a 21-0 run. Hart caps it. He had 13. But the story, Brunson, minute left, finishing touches on his masterpiece. He started 2 for 13 from the floor, made 10 of his last 14, had a game-high 34 points. Knicks take game 1 by 11.
Pacers hosting the Bucks in game 1 of their first round matchup, and they would really dominate early. Yes, sir. Tyrese Halliburton able to drive under the lane, get the up and under. Andrew Nembhard makes a nice assist to Miles Turner, who does that. And then Halliburton to Benedict Mathurin in the corner. That's a 3. They went 16 of 23 from the floor. Pacers lead by 24 at the half. That's the fourth largest lead in playoff history. Third quarter, they're up big. Keep an eye on Pascal Siakam. He loses it. Giannis recovers it. And then Siakam is like, sorry, that was my bad. I'm just going to take this. Thank you. Then he knocks down the 3. Yes. He had 25 points. This is his 6th 25-point game in the playoffs with the Pacers. Under 2 in the fourth. They're up big still. Halliburton drives, gets fouled. Then he starts to get a little chippy with Damian Lillard, who's on the bench. Yep, he's talking. He steps onto the court.
Jeez.
Doesn't do anything, though. The Pacers, they take game 1 as they win it 117-98.
I'm not sure physically we were ready, if that makes sense.
Julius Randle putting some muscle in his hustle.
Maybe it took us one playoff game to now get a feel for it.
They turn over Doncic. Connolly pulls the 3.
I think it was physical. They were hitting a lot of threes.
Pulls the 3, and it's wet. Wide open Randle. Cash out. DiVincenzo holds it and laces the deep 3.
We weren't physical. They were running. They were getting anything they want, and we got to be better with that.
All right, we'll see if they're able to do that in game 2. Anscape senior writer David Dennis Jr. and 13-year NBA veteran and analyst Quinten Richardson join us now. Let's start with Wolves Lakers, guys. What was your biggest takeaway from game 1 of this series, Q?
Man, I was extremely surprised with the game that LeBron James and the rest of the Lakers had. I felt like that the Minnesota Bigs, they came out, they impacted the game in a major way. The wing guys shot the ball well. You had a big game from McDaniel. And obviously we knew that Ant was going to be, the feature guy for them. But I felt like that McDaniels was the second big guy on their team. He had a huge game playing both ways. And the Lakers got to get ready, man. The Minnesota Timberwolves are serious, and they up 1 on them already.
Yeah, from the moment Luka got to that Lakers team, I've been questioning the sustainability of that Lakers defense. Last night, I think we got our answer. The Wolves got everything they wanted from that team when the Lakers were trying to defend. They blew by at the point of attack and passed the ball out to open three-point shooters. The Wolves shot 50% from 3, and the Lakers, if you're J.J. Redick, you may say, hey, that's not sustainable. But I think it is because they were 9 for 12, 75% on corner threes. A lot of those were wide open. The Lakers have to shore up that defense, and they still got outscored by 11 points in the paint. There was just no defense in that Lakers squad.
Yeah, like you said, it was one of the biggest questions that we had since Luka got to L.A. Okay, so Wolves-Lakers, that was one of our 4 games yesterday. Q, what other things stood out to you from Saturday?
Man, the Denver game, I want to say Joker, I want to say Aaron Gordon, but Russ Westbrook, man. Russ Westbrook made play after play. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't, flawless, but he made play after play to help his team come through and get a big-time win yesterday. And I feel like Jamal Murray showed up, Aaron Gordon showed up, and the rest of that supporting cast, Christian Braun, everybody showed up. I felt like the Clippers had a great game, but I felt like those guys came through down the stretch for Denver and got them the W. This is going to be a great series, this Denver Clippers series. I'm super excited for this one.
Yes, that will be a great series, but the thing that stuck out to me was that Pistons fourth quarter meltdown. They played pretty much a flawless first 3 quarters, and then they pulled a Benjamin Button. They waited until the end to get young. They just melted down in that fourth quarter. You start the quarter off without even getting the ball inbounds and the 5-second violation. I can't remember any time I've ever seen anything like that. 7 field goals made, 6 turnovers. They looked shell-shocked in that fourth quarter after playing a pretty flawless first 3 quarters. quarters of that game. They let this one slip. If they lose this series, they'll go back to that 21-0 run in that first quarter and say that is the reason that they lost.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was watching that game, and then I left for a little bit. I came back, and I was so confused. The Knicks' 21-0 run is the third largest by any team in the fourth quarter of a playoff game in the play-by-play era. It was wild. Oh, yeah, the Celtics start their quest to win back-to-back titles in Game 1 against the Magic today on ABC. The Celtics have an NBA record 18 titles but have not repeated as champions since 1969 in what would be Bill Russell's final career game. As we welcome in our friend Marc J. Spears from Boston. What are the Celtics saying about their title defense?
Well, going back to what you just mentioned, Larry Bird didn't win back-to-back championships. Neither did Paul Pierce. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they both know that they have a chance to make rare history in Boston and do something special. Jason Tatum told me yesterday that this is their time, their era, and they got to maximize this window together and do something special. But he also said he's not looking past the Orlando Magic, and they got to win the first round first. In terms of Jaylen Brown, he also mentioned that they got to focus on today, not 6 weeks from now, not a month from now, not 10 years from now. And he also said an interesting quote, you never step in the same river twice. And I thought about it a lot. And basically what he meant by that was, when you step into a river once, the step into the river is going to be different the next time. So he's saying that his journey for the Celtics this year will certainly be much different than it was a season ago.
Very interesting quote. Very wise words, though. The Celtics look to be the first team
you
to
can
repeat.
use it.
Exactly. Since the Warriors in 2017, 2018. Now, let's talk about the Magic. You recently sat down with Paolo Banchero. He played in front of the Cameron Crazies when he was at Duke, and he's obviously played in every NBA arena. But why does he most enjoy playing in Boston?
Well, I covered these Celtics in 2008 when they won a championship. Covered them for the Boston Globe, and I remember at that time talking to the late, great Kobe Bryant. And he said that when they were leaving, even though that the Lakers lost, the fans were rocking the bus and actually throwing rocks at it. This crowd shows up early, 20 minutes before the game. They're like a college crowd. They dress crazy. They dance to the Bee Gees as a cigar thing when they win. Dancing, yeah. Remember that song? It might be before your time.
It definitely is.
But Banchero, even with all the intimidating factors that come with playing in TD Garden, he told me that this is a top 3 arena for him, maybe the best overall. He likes the trash talking. He also said it feels heavier here when the Celtics take the lead and the crowd gets going. But even though he's a young dude, 22, he loves the history. He talked to me about Larry Bird and Paul Pierce, and he certainly like to make some history today against the champs.
Yeah, I would imagine he likes to go in there and possibly shut those Celtics fans up. I'll be in Boston in about 3 hours, so I'll see you very soon, Marc. Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, but before we get going Sunday, let's take a look back at Saturday's quadruple header. Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves lighting up the Lakers. 20-point lead in the third quarter and extending it. Jaden McDaniels strips Luka Doncic. Mike Conley Jr. transition 3 for the 37-year-old. Still third quarter. Edwards makes LeBron pay for reaching and missing. And he had 323s in the regular season. It felt like Minnesota hit that many on Saturday. They had 21, a franchise playoff record. Edwards had 22. Minnesota won in L.A. by 22.
Clips facing the Nugs. They're going to trail by 2. 20 seconds left to go. James Harden drives, floats it in. That's a tie ball game at 98. On to overtime. Just over a minute to play. Nuggets up 1. Jokic to Christian Brown. He knocks down the 3. They go up 4. 10 seconds left. Clippers trail 3. Nuggets, Batum, inbound to Harden. Westbrook steps in, causes the turnover. He's hyped. Harden's not. Nuggets going to win in OT, 112-110.
At MSG, Knicks hosting the Pistons. Jalen Brunson limped off the floor in the third quarter. Tibbs said he went back to get his cape. And then the Knicks, not all that long thereafter, went on a 21-0 run. Cat to Josh Hart to Brunson. Brunson had 34. Yeah, the Knicks scored 3 unanswered touchdowns in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Third longest playoff run since our play-by-play data goes. Knicks win by 11 at home. They're up 1-0 in the series.
Pacers taking on the Bucks. We go to the third quarter. Pacers up big. Watch Pascal Siakam. He loses it. Giannis recovers it. He pushes it down the court. Then Siakam is like, wait, no, I need that actually. Sorry. He goes to a spot on the wing. Then he knocks down the 3. 25 points for that guy. His 6th 25-point game in the playoff with the Pacers. Under 2 in the 4th. They're still up big. Halliburton drives to the basket. He gets fouled. And then he begins to exchange words with Damian Lillard on the bench. Things get a little chippy. The Pacers take game 1, 117-98.
I'm on fire. It's NBA over here.